Twice every year, the European transfer window opens, and with it comes a fresh reminder that money talks in football. Players and their agents flock toward where the money is, with huge transfer fees and wages attracting the sport's biggest talents. But this is nothing new. The top clubs have always attracted the best players all over Europe. Christian Vieiri's record-breaking $33 million move to Inter Milan in 2001 is just one of hundreds of examples. But in the last few years, there's been a growing trend that many describe as a problem for European football: the financial power of English clubs. In the summer of 2023, 11 of the 15 most expensive transfers were made by clubs currently playing in the English First Division, with Premier League clubs spending a record $2.97 billion, more than the other four top leagues combined. So why is all the money in England? And is this actually a problem for the European football structure? Since the inception of transfer fees in football, many clubs have been accused of ruining the transfer market. As far back as 1932, Argentinian club River Plate came under heavy criticism from the South American media for their world record purchase of forward Bernabé Ferreira, famously earning them the nickname Los Millonarios, the millionaires. And this was not a compliment. More recently, Real Madrid, PSG, and Juventus have been accused of distorting the market. What all these clubs had in common was that their competitors accused them of creating an unfair advantage through excessive transfer spending. They were branded villains, challenging the integrity and fairness of the game. However, as the football landscape has evolved over the last 2 decades, so has the nature of these accusations. Nowadays, the villains of the sport are no longer the big European clubs, but the English Premier League. In the last few years, the Premier League and its clubs have come under heavy scrutiny for what is perceived by outsiders as excessive spending. The history of the Premier League's financial power can be traced back to one vital moment, one that will change English and European football forever. That would be Roman Abramovich's purchase of Chelsea. In the 90s, Italian football reigned supreme over the rest of Europe. They spent the most money, had the most competition, and boasted the best players in the world, like Ronaldo, Maldini, Nedved, and Zidane. But in 2003, Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea for $233 million, making the Blues one of the world's richest clubs. And he wasted no time in flexing his financial muscle, breaking the world record by spending 111 million euros in his first window. Chelsea were not seen as an immediate threat by the European powerhouses, but domestically, their spending raised alarm bells. Chelsea would win the title in Roman's first 2 years as owner and successfully break the existing power struggle between Manchester United and Arsenal. In response, spending increased across the league, and by 2007, the Premier League was the most competitive league in the world. And just like Serie A in the 90s, now had the best players in the world, like Cristiano Ronaldo, Frank Lampard, Fernando Torres, and Thierry Henry. The league had a meteoric rise in the 2000s, and by the time the rest of Europe took note, the first ever All-English Champions League final was being played in 2008. However, despite their superior financial prowess, the top European clubs were still relatively unbothered. Real Madrid would break the world transfer record 3 times in the space of 4 years, and acquired the Premier League's best player, Cristiano Ronaldo. Thierry Henry would also leave English club Arsenal for a Barcelona side that dominated Europe, beating Manchester United, Chelsea, and Arsenal multiple times. Between 2009 and 2018, only one English team would win the Champions League. However, the dominance of other leagues on the European stage only temporarily masked the shifting financial landscape of European football. While English teams weren't making headlines on the European stage, their domestic league remained the most competitive in football, drawing billions of viewers and lucrative broadcasting deals. Between 2012 and 2019, the Premier League had 5 different winners, with Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, Leicester City, and Liverpool all winning the title in that time. The league's competitiveness throughout the decade would prove vital when the COVID-19 pandemic struck the world of football. In March 2020, European football was stopped due to the pandemic, with no football played for the following 5 months. When football returned in August, teams were required to play all their football behind closed doors. And with the turnstiles closed and no fans in the stands, this led to a significant loss of matchday revenue for clubs across Europe. An estimated estimated $3.7 billion for the top 5 European leagues alone. Fans eventually returned to stadiums in 2021, but for many clubs the damage had been done. Over half a year without their primary source of income had left much of Europe in crippling debt and financial distress. The economic struggles post-pandemic also affected some of the big European clubs, most notably Barcelona, whose financial hard times in the last 2 years have been well documented, even leading to the exit of captain and legendary forward Lionel Messi. The 2021-22 summer window saw a record low outlay on transfer fees as selling clubs demanded premium offers for their star players, and buying clubs were without the finances to match their demands. But despite the hard-hitting effects of the pandemic on European football, money circulation didn't seem to slow down in England, leaving the rest of Europe scratching their heads. 16 of the 25 most expensive deals in summer 2021 involved English teams, including big money moves for Kai Havertz, Diogo Jota, Ruben Dias, and Thomas Partey. Over the next few transfer windows, the disparity in spending between English clubs and the rest of Europe continued to grow. In the summer of 2021, the previous British transfer record would be broken twice, with Manchester City's purchase of Jack Grealish for $125 million and Chelsea's signing of Romelu Lukaku for $120 million. In January 2023, during the winter window, 12 of the top 20 deals were completed by English clubs. A few weeks later, Spanish League president Javier Tebas launched an attack on the English League spending, accusing them of transfer doping and inflation. These accusations came off the back of Chelsea's record $107 million deal for Argentinian midfielder Enzo Fernandez. But despite Tebas's cries for financial balance, there was very little FIFA and the governing bodies could do, because there were reasons for the Premier League's financial dominance, with those reasons being rooted in Roman Abramovich's acquisition of Chelsea Football Club in 2003. The biggest of those reasons is the league's global popularity. A significant amount of the Premier League's fortune comes from TV revenue income, and more importantly, how that income is distributed among clubs. In the 2022-2023 season, bottom-placed Premier League club Southampton received $159 million in TV revenue, a higher broadcasting income than all but 12 clubs outside England. In the 2021-2022 season, despite finishing last, the $119 million Sheffield United earned was more than twice the $49 million the club with the least in La Liga received. The TV revenue in England isn't just 3 times as lucrative as other leagues. It's distributed based on an egalitarian system, with the English Football Association recognising the importance of keeping all its clubs financially stable. In the 2022-2023 season, champions Manchester City received a TV revenue of $210 million, just $8 million more than 4th place Newcastle United. However, in Spain, last season's champions Barcelona received $20 million more than the 4th place team. A significant percentage of the TV rights in Spain goes to the 1st and 2nd placed teams, with many believing this is done to cater to Spanish powerhouses Barcelona and Real Madrid, who often occupy those positions. Similarly, in Germany, champions Bayern Munich received $15 million more than 4th placed RB Leipzig. Over the last 2 decades, these distribution patterns have created a cycle within European football that has slowly led to the Premier League's current financial dominance. You see, with the rise of Chelsea in the mid-2000s, the Premier League grew from a duopoly between Manchester United and Arsenal to what became known as a top 4, with Chelsea and Liverpool joining the power struggle at the top of the table, and eventually a top 6 after the takeover of Man City by Arab owners and the emergence of Tottenham and Harry Kane. To keep up with the Premier League clubs financially, a huge percentage of revenue by foreign leagues went towards the top clubs, leading to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich and PSG remaining competitive in Europe. But as a result, their domestic leagues suffered and became less and less competitive as the years went by. With their league title in May 2023, PSG have now won 8 of the last 10 French league titles. In Italy, Juventus won 9 titles in a row between 2012 and 2020, while in Germany, although they enjoy a passionate football culture, their league is also in what many describe as a dire situation, with Bayern Munich winning the last 11 Bundesliga titles, largely unchallenged. The money being funneled to these top clubs has made them representatives of their leagues in Europe, while the rest of their leagues suffer financially, and viewers have lost interest in their corner of European football. On the other hand, by properly distributing its TV revenue and keeping all its clubs well funded, the Premier League has ensured it maintains its competitiveness. And by maintaining its competitiveness, it brings in more viewers annually, and as a result, you guessed it, more TV revenue for its clubs. So, as the Premier League has gotten stronger financially through TV revenue, other European leagues have gotten significantly weaker. And when the pandemic came around, the Premier League was the most prepared to deal with its consequences. Without fans in the stadiums, TV revenue became more important than ever. And with the Premier League's popularity skyrocketing during the government-imposed lockdowns, the English League saw record-breaking TV deals. The revenue from these TV deals was able to help keep Premier League clubs above water, while their European counterparts sank, leading to the current financial disparity we see in the game today. Now that we've established how the English game made its fortune, let's take a closer look at the all-important question. Is the financial disparity between the Premier Leagues and other European leagues ruining European football? Well, we know Javier Tebas's opinion, but is the league's spending patterns actually creating a problem? Before forming an opinion, it's important to establish that the current disparity is unlikely to change anytime soon. Typically, when a Premier League team sells a player, they would rather sell to a team abroad rather than sell to a divisional rival. But with the current state of European football, clubs abroad can no longer afford to pay the premium price for these players, which has led to a rise in intra-league transfers, with mid-table clubs forced to sell their elite talents to the big boys in England, such as Declan Rice to Arsenal, Moises Caicedo to Chelsea, and Matheus Nunes to Manchester City. In return, due to their strong financial prowess and newly filled pockets, the mid-table English club can compete with the top teams from other leagues for elite talent, with the capacity to pay transfer fees and wages even the top European clubs can't afford. For reference, 15th placed Bournemouth outspent the champions of Italy, Napoli, and champions of Spain, Barcelona, in the summer of 2023. According to detractors, this cycle is unbreakable and creates an unfair advantage for the Premier League, with the league bringing all the best talents to its shores and further increasing its TV revenue and, as a result, its financial power. Many solutions have been suggested to increase the finances of other European leagues, including a Super League, matching TV rights, and a reform to the financial fair play regulations. To some, the Premier League's current dominance is part of a footballing cycle. Just like with Italian football in the 90s, at various points, German, French, Spanish, and even Brazilian football have all reigned supreme within the game, all holding financial superiority and accused of ruining the game for those with shallower pockets. But football has a way of carrying on. Maybe someday in the future, the Premier League cycle of dominance will finally end. But having survived 2 world wars, a global pandemic, and many claims of the game being ruined by money, it's safe to say that European football will continue to thrive for years and years to come. And that brings us to the end of our video. Do you think the Premier League spending is ruining football? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.